5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are off. Let me see my face up there. There we are. You have happened onto the Wall Street Sizing Up channel. We're sponsored by StockTrade.tips. StockTrade.tips, that is the website. They have one goal, and that goal is to help you profit off the insider knowledge of the hedge funds. They send you SMS text alerts. All right, that said, we had a historic day. It feels like a historic. It feels like a very American day. It feels like it's great to be an American. We're talking about the GameStop, the Wall Street bets, the internet versus Wall Street, the Reddit rebels, if you would, the resistance. It's great with some good conversation today. So I'm going to hit the kind of news of the day, some of the stuff you might see on CNBC, but just want to give you some commentary on what happened today. And then I'll get to the GameStop and the Reddit rebels and what's going on with Wall Street bets and the way that I see it. And if you watch CNBC today, it was great. Chamath Palihapitiya, who is going to run for governor, looks like, who really took some time to understand Wall Street bets, the subreddit, and really learned a lot. He donated like $500K to, I believe, Stool President or Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports. He donated what he made off of his GameStop calls. It was really good. They had a 30-minute conversation where he called into CNBC. Phenomenal. We're going to talk about that. It's up on my Twitter. If you want to look at that, it's called, we're at Trading Heavy. Trading Heavy is the Twitter call sign. So let's get to work here, guys. All right. Today we are, you see it on the screen there, or maybe you don't see it on the screen there. There you go. All right. We're at finbiz.com. Dow was down 633. NASDAQ was down 355. And S&P was down 98. Clearly, it was a bloody Wednesday. I think we can all say that, except if you understand the subreddit Wall Street bets, you probably know why. It was a haywire day for the markets. I'm going to get to the news, but essentially what's going on is Wall Street. So just as a preview here, Wall Street bets is, I don't want to say pumping these stocks, because if you're short or long, who's to say that you're right? Your thesis is your thesis, right? So here's who it's basically retail stocks, right? That are clearly retail stocks are being pushed up, but they're being pushed up for a reason. Wall Street bets and that community. By the way, when I got on there, at the time that I got on there, is about 1.5 million people. Today, I saw that it crossed 3.4. So it literally gained 700,000 users today alone. So let's get to it. Costs. This is retail. This is a consumer electronics that they make headphones. AMC, you know what they do. Theaters. I want to let you know that I'm long most of these now. As of this morning, I did take some positions. I did not get into Naked, NAKD. Naked brand, that's apparel. Express, another apparel, that was up 214. Naked was up 253. AMC was up 301, and KOS was up almost 500. That's 5x, boys and girls. GameStop was up another 134. Fossil, the watches, FOSL was up 87. Let's get in some more in here. Another consumer electric stock, MSN was up 73. Fizz, which is a beverage company, retail stock, was up 40. And JILL, which is a women's apparel. You and your girlfriend have probably been to their store before. They were up 55. All right. So here's what Wall Street bets is. Essentially, they're going after where the short interest is to squeeze them. It's a very smart strategy, actually. They are grouping together. They're coming together as a community to go after where the shorts are. And the shorts are all in these brick and mortar retail stocks, right? Boom. Literally all of those that I just showed you, except for one, right? There's a lot of short activity And if you can cause that price to go up, it means the shorts have to buy more shares. That means the price will continue to go up, right? Okay, so I'm going to get to the news really quick. We'll get to crypto as well, so just some small things. President Biden today will resume regular COVID-19 briefings, which is what Trump did until, I believe, till the networks took him off, which was kind of weird because he was getting ratings. So hopefully this President Biden, they won't take him off. It's going to be 3 times a week. Great. Good to see. He also announces that that his administration is going to purchase another 100 million doses of Pfizer vaccine and another 100 million doses of Moderna vaccine. Also, creditcards.com came out today, shows that 51 million Americans have added debt to their credit card balances since March of 2020. And 44% blame the pandemic. I'd probably blame more than that. But anyway, so the stimulus is needed more than ever. Again, you got money for war. And here's the thing. You got money for war, but not for the poor. And what are we doing? It's going to be a month and a half. You got the articles of impeachment out in less than 3 days. So just nuts. Vladimir Putin is in the news today. And he's warning that the coronavirus pandemic has intensified the inequalities and tensions across the globe. I'm not a big Putin fan. I don't think anybody in America is, but he's right about that. He noted that a similar failure to resolve economic issues in the 20th century was a precursor to World War II. Now, he needs to go back a little bit. Hitler, as I recall in the history books, was mad about World War I and how Germany was treated. So he was really more about that, right? Adding that if we don't resolve these issues, it would mean the end of our civilization as we know it. That's a little much, right? And clearly he's a billionaire, and clearly he runs the entire country, like, I don't know, the 5th, 6th biggest country in the world. All right, let's get to the business. Microsoft reported revenue of $43 billion in the fourth quarter of 2020. It was up 17% year over year. The company's profit increased by 35%. The company's revenue from commercial cloud services increased 35% to $16.7 billion. So right there, very close to what Amazon is doing as well. Its gaming revenue was up 51%, which we all knew, and that was fueled more by the introduction of the Xbox. What else do they have? They've got Xbox Series 10, and they get the Series S now too. So during the earnings call, the CEO of Microsoft pointed out that its no-code, low-code powerful platform currently has 11 million active users. That's up 95% year over year. That's great to hear. That means more people are moving into coding, but with just less code. So doing their own development, and you love to see that. Starbucks reported revenue of $4.7 billion. That's down 6% from 2019. Profit, $622 million, was down 22%. The company's U.S. sales increased by 6%, while its revenue from China increased 5%. China, I don't know why we just go to India. I know they're not as rich as the Chinese, but today on my Instagram, by the way, it's stocktrade.tips as well, there is a woman who actually escaped one of the Chinese concentration camps. You ought to find the article. It's in, I think it was the New York Times. Anyway, the company's COO, now this is Starbucks, their COO, Roz Brewer, left. The share price fell when he did, and then he went to Walgreens, and that share price increased 5% today. All right, AT&T. Pretty interesting stuff here. Reported fourth quarter loss of $13.9 billion due to $15.5 billion impairment charges on DirecTV. All right, so they lost that, but it was due to DirecTV business. This week, the private equity firm TPG, which is Texas Pacific Group out of Fort Worth, Texas, was reportedly in talks with AT&T to buy the DirecTV business at a $15 billion valuation, so they'll get that back, right? The company acquired DirecTV. Talk about losing money. Again, we always think that Wall Street is smarter, and we'll get into this with the Wall Street Bets guys. They bought DirecTV for $45 billion. You know what they're going to sell to TPG for? I just told you. $15 billion. Negative 3x. Its HBO Max, though, has more than 17 million active users. And HBO has 61 million users worldwide. Last week, Netflix reported 203 million paid members on its platform. In comparison, Disney has 86 million. So HBO is being outrun by Disney. Hulu has 38 million, right? And ESPN has 12 million. So just to give you some context there. Also, today Boeing reported $12 billion loss for all of 2020, with an $8.4 billion loss in Q4 alone. For comparison, the company posted a $10 billion profit in 2018. So the company's revenue had declined 24% to $58 billion. All right, the Robinhood CEO, Vlad Tenev, if you don't know him, you might want to research him and how he came about, especially when Robinhood's, I believe their S1 is out. I could be wrong about that, so fact check me. He says that becoming, and I think this is so true, that becoming an investor in the stock market is the new equivalent to home ownership. So true. It represents the modern American dream now, is to be in the stock market because it continues to go up. And if Warren Buffett will tell you, the American stock market is the best place to put your money. Not that home ownership isn't. I own my home. All my friends own their homes, right? But at the end of the day, if you don't make your payments and you don't make your tax payments, like, they can come and get your house. Is that fair? Well, you got to pay taxes. Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Blackstone will acquire the majority of Allstate's life insurance business for $2.8 billion. Again, they got $8 trillion under management. That's just chump changes. Then Fiat Chrysler's U.S. division has agreed to pay $30 million for a penalty for conspiring to violate labor laws. Again, executives, why are we giving money to companies? The stimulus should be only for people. People are in the companies, right? We could have given $30,000 to every individual who is a citizen of the United States. Instead, we're giving it to corporations that all they do is stock buybacks. Not that I'm against that, right? But we're trying to help people, not corporations. Give it to the people. What are we doing? The federal investigation into the company first became public in 2017, so it's literally taken 3 going on 4 years. Snap acquired Ariel AI, a computer vision startup co-founded by former Google and Facebook research scientists. The startup develops software that can render 3D models of people in real time, which could be used in immersive gaming or for trying on clothes virtually. You see where I'm going with that? Snap. I do. All right. I'm going to get to crypto really very, very quickly here, and then we'll talk about Wall Street bets. All right. We are at 30. It was as high as about 33 today. Robinhood reported a huge outage today. Of course, when it went below 30 and people couldn't trade out or buy the dip, that's when it went, when Robinhood. Now, I'm not advocating you use Robinhood to buy your crypto, because if you don't have your keys, it's really not your money. But that is BS. Robinhood, you got to get the fix, but it continues to happen. Coinbase is the same way. Not that it happened to them today, but Robinhood, because I was on them today trying to do a little day trading when I was keeping my son. It's the only thing that I had was on my phone, but it did go out for a little bit. All right. Here's the bearish case for BTC. Listen up. Bearish case for Bitcoin. Earlier this week, Bitcoin attempted a move higher, which focused the relative strength index, the RSI, to briefly break the downward sloping trend. However, buying pressure did not last long, and Bitcoin is again testing the $30,000 level at this time of publishing, which we see that here. Okay. Should this level break down with increasing volumes, meaning if it continues to dip underneath the 30,000, then it would be likely for Bitcoin to revisit the 20 the 20-day EMA, right? So it could go down to 23.3 is basically the way that I'm reading it, where the resistance is, blah, blah, blah. Here's the bullish case. The bullish case for Bitcoin. On the flip side, bulls, you want to aim to conquer about 33,000 to 35,000 range. It's kind of where you want to be, which would favor a retest of all-time highs above 40K. That's where you want to be. You've got to hold the 33 to 35 for an extended period of time. Such a move would result in attempt at 50K and beyond. So if you can hold it there, hold the line for a while at 33 to 35, which we have not done in about a week or two, then we would see a upward bullish movement to at least back to 40K and possibly retest the all-time highs and 50. All right. Given the underlying fundamentals and unambiguous on-chain data points, there is no doubt that any crash in Bitcoin would be a short-lived mass liquidation event before new all-time highs. Let me say that again. I get this from a newsletter, and I forget where I got this one from. I believe it was Dave on Crypto or something like that. I will. If you're watching this, I will say your name next time because you've got some really, really good insight. Given the underlying fundamentals of Bitcoin and unambiguous on-chain data points, there is no doubt that any crash in Bitcoin, right? We're talking about probably sub 30 down to 23 down to 20 would be short-lived mass liquidation. That means if you hold, you've got to hold, right? Bitcoin is volatile. We all know that here. A short-lived mass liquidation event before all new all-time highs would be revisited. So, all right, last, and then we'll get to. So, in a post pinned by Reddit admin Jarnus on the Ethereum subreddit, the partnership signifies how Reddit will be increasing our commitments to blockchain and accelerating the scaling and resources for the Ethereum ecosystem. So there you have it. They are going to be bullish on Ethereum as well. They're already bullish on Bitcoin. So that being said, all right, so let's talk about what we came to talk about, and that is what is going on. So let me give you the background here, right? So for the last few days, GameStop, it has been a business on decline. I did want to show you. Here's my. So I was buying. So RC Ventures. So essentially, what we do is we look at hedge fund positions every day. RC Ventures jumped in far before September of when I jumped in, but they were in there. They drove the stock price up from below 5 up to about 9. That's where I kind of jumped in. You can see here on the screen to what I'm showing you. So I've really lived this right now. I traded in and out. I did not think it would get above 20, and you can see all my little my dinky little trades here, right? Because again, GameStop. You would think it's in decline, right? But the profits kept coming in because they kept improving their commerce, right? And that's what was great about that. What happened was, by the way, some of the more notable believers in GameStop, which also I swear I saw him size up too, was Michael Burry from the Big Short, right? You might recognize that name, right? Blah blah blah. Less notable investors include a Reddit user who bought 53,000. We'll call him DFV, but if you're watching this, it's deep effing value is what that stands for. So DFV. So throughout, he bought it in 2019, as far as I can tell from the Reddit comments. And he had a fairly big name, and he was, don't want to say he was pumping the stock, but he was certainly talking about it, and it did begin to bring profits, but it had all these shorts, right? It had a ton of shorts, all these brick and mortar stores, all these retail stores, which I cannot tell you. We have a wholesale e-commerce side, and we've sold to 10,000 boutiques. We've probably lost 7,000 of those in the past 3-4 years. So I don't blame the shorts, right? So throughout 2020, a few other investors jumped on the GameStop bandwagon, including Ryan Cohen of Chewy. And by late last year of 2020, the share price had risen to the mid-teens, right? That's kind of where I had gotten out, right? Right before 1918-ish, right? The uptick. Then we saw another hedge fund, I believe RC Ventures either exited or bought more. So we then called that out on December 7th to our SMS subscribers on a text alert and told them about the shares and how much and what the prospects of GameStop were. But it wasn't, there was some growth there, but it wasn't like huge growth, right? The uptick in Four Fortunes resolved more of a financial, it became more of a financial elite to bet against GameStop. Essentially all the hedge funds. So we basically learned that these hedge funds get together a lot in what are called secret dinners, right? And it's not to really collude. It's more of to talk about ideas, of course. And so that's what happened, right? And so they were buying put options or selling the stock short, anticipating it would eventually resume its downward trajectory. The problem is they didn't understand the power of the retail investor, and how determined they were, and really stubborn and almost kind of reckless. So a group of these amateur investors, led by DFV, on his regular updates of GameStop, started betting, and they started betting that the price would go higher. These bets often revealed that the profits were going higher and higher and reached a greater and greater audience on subreddits. So all these people started jumping on board, inspired by traders, jumping on the GME is the ticker, of course, on the GameStop train. Over the last few weeks, this has coalesced into an enormous movement with its primary goal, first to make money and profit, right? Can we move this stock, right? They've done that. I mean, we're up 1,600% in January. You may never see that again. But wait, cost there, I believe cost is up close to that in January alone. In fact, it might be there in the last 4 sessions. The second is to basically screw over Wall Street and the short sellers who are shorting these stocks, right? Who's to say who's right and wrong? Nobody is, right? But the funny thing is when you've got billion-dollar hedge funds, right, who they say, oh, we've got 10 billion under management. That is true, but it's also false, right? Because they can go to their prime broker, which aka they're a bank, and they can go 10x leverage. So they can leverage up to 100 billion on one stock if they want and drive that stock down and crush the company, which in the end crushes all the jobs, crushes everything, right? Now, is that the right thing is that the American thing to do? And that's why Elon Musk is so adamant about shorting. Shorting just, especially if you're just starting out, which Tesla was, and people were shorting him, right? He wanted more transparency, but he knew who the shorts were. He had insiders telling him who's shorting him, right? And so that's what was happening. But it's a great strategy. These guys had all these shorts on GameStop, and I believe it was like 83 million shares, which, by the way, it was 140% of all outstanding shares. How does that happen? 140% of outstanding shares. How do you have that? Right? That's the chicanery or the effery that Wall Street does, the non-transparent. Why can't we get regulations around that? Why can't we be more like Kathy Wood? I know she's part of Wall Street, but she's transparent. Every day she sends out what buys and sells she made that day for all of her ETFs. Every one, and she tells you how many shares. For every, I think she's got 6 or 7 ETFs. How transparent? Why can't we all do that? Why can't every hedge fund do that? Why does it take hedge funds when they take a 5% position in any company, they get to wait 10 days before they file that. Why? Why should you file it the same day? What are you hiding? Oh, you're hiding that the day before you sized up $50 million and the next day it went $100 million up. Where's the SEC there? Right? What's fair about that? Let me get on with the story if you hadn't heard, because it's all over CNBC. It'll be on the nightly news tonight. So it was a great strategy. All these funds were short. The big one was the one hedge fund, Melvin Capital, that had been betting big against GME, had to have $3 billion. And we talked about this yesterday. It was about $2.7 billion injected into them by Citadel Capital and by .72 Steve Cohen. I don't fault them for that. They're trying to save their buddy. They broke those shorts today. Reddit user DFV was at the end of this thing. He's up 23 million. He turned 53,000 into 23 million. And there's been a lot of guys over there in reading all of the Reddits on Wall Street bets, subreddit. It's beautiful. Kids are paying off debt. There was one kid that was helping his sister fight Lyme disease. It's good. Why do the little guys, why do the retail investors get shut out, right, of being in hedge funds? What are we supposed to do? Go buy just ETFs? We're that dumb? No. Who's to say GameStop's not worth $22 billion? Who's to say that? Right? You know, my thesis says that it is. Yours says that it's not. You can short, I can long. That's how Wall Street works. That's the efficient market. If I get together some buddies of mine and we all want to go in because we believe this white paper, that's what happens. That's what the hedge funds do. What's wrong with that? And the funny thing is, they go on CNBC and they cry their Wall Street tears, right? Oh, this is not fair. You know, we're shutting down. Yeah, you're a hedge fund. I think you'll do okay. But why are we even protecting Wall Street the way that we do? I think that's why it's a great day to be alive today. I think Papatia did a phenomenal job on CNBC. You really ought to go watch that. GameStop shares opened at 308. I don't even know what they finished at today. But you know, I think, you know, if it's me and you got some profit there, some good profit, take it and be good with it, especially at the high as it is. Now, I do believe from the subreddits, again, this is not financial advice. Do your own due diligence. I am wrong about a lot of things. I'm right about a lot of things, but do your own due diligence. This is not financial advice. I believe these guys want to take it to $1,000 per share. That way, everybody wins, right? Or at least everybody in that subreddit wins, right? And if you hadn't been over there, you ought to. If I'm talking more, you know, I think that retail sophistication is catching up with all the new tools, with all the power that you have in your hand from your phone and from on the web, on the internet with FinViz and all the screeners and all the P ratios and all the tools that we have at StockTrade.tips. You can find good stocks, right? We're not trying to crush anybody. We're just trying to find good stocks that are going to go up long term, maybe short term, right? That's it. But you know, who's to say that you're right and I'm wrong? Who's to say that a short's wrong? Who's to say that a long's wrong? Nobody is. It's the market. If you don't want to play, don't play, right? And Wall Street, I'm talking to you because I see it every day. I see you guys size up on small companies, mid-sized companies, large companies all the time, right? And you go 50%, 100%, 200% up in one day. And I can call you out by fund. I got 5 in my head right now. But I don't do it because there's probably some liable BS. But my point is, don't be crying now. When somebody plays by the rules, you don't get to cry. Because guess what? You don't play by the rules, I promise you. There's got to be insider trading on Wall Street. You know why I know? Because I watch it every day. And the transparency, you're SEC. Let me tell you something. You need to have these guys be more transparent, because some retail trader out there is smarter than them, and they're going to figure out what they're doing, right? How do you have 140% of the outstanding shares? Explain to me that. Somebody explain to me that in the comments. It's unbelievable. All right. Also, there's momentum. The biggest momentum trader that I know is Kathy Wood, again. But when something has momentum and it goes up 30, up 60, up 15, up 100 in one day, people are going to jump on board. That's what they do. They like the get rich quick scheme, just like Wall Street does. Wall Street just gets to play with bigger numbers. That's it. You get more zeros than the retail guy, but you jump on a trend. It's called momentum, and you guys play it all the time. We even talk about it on this channel here. Half the trades that I send out to our SMS subscribers are momentum plays. Literally momentum plays. And I tell them 2 rules. Cut your losses quickly, whatever that means to you, however risk averse you are, and if you like that stock, you cut your losses quickly. And then 2, you let your winners run. And if you see a winner run, what do? You let it run. You keep it running. If it goes from 20 to 322, what was GameStop today? 347. I'm letting it run, just like every Wall Street trader would. All right, let's get to if I've got it here, the news of the day. Blah blah blah. This is gonna be straight off the wire. We're gonna go quick because I've been on this thing for long enough. Apple says iPad performance was very good. We know that. Zymeworks begins patient enrollment into expansion of cohort. Their little biotech trial is ZYME. That's good to know. Raymond James reports 1 trillion under management now. RJF. I'm gonna just try to hit the high points for you guys. Teradyne sees Q1 EPS right about consensus TER. It's not really a big deal. American Financial Group to sell annuity business to Mass Mutual, $3.5 billion. That's AFG. It's huge. That is big news. Sally Mae reports Q4 EPS beat consensus by a long shot, by 3x. SLM. I'm probably gonna miss a lot here, guys. I just don't want to be on here too much and bore the crap out of you. Applied Genetics, $60 million spot secondary reoffered at $445 AGTX. Intel CEO buys 27,000 shares of common stock ENTC. Look, man, I say this a lot. Again, not financial advice, but I am long semiconductor. SOXX if you want the ETF. Wall Street stories today were Microsoft, Amazon, Starbucks, WBA, BA, which I think is Boeing, T as an AT&T, we talked about them, GameStop, AMC, we talked about them, VIR, LLY, which is Eli Lilly, GSK, ANTM. Okay. Crown Castle, Verizon expanding relationship with long-term 5G small cell commitment. That's at CCI. It's good for them. It's a small cap, maybe a mid cap. Rio Tinto named a new COO. Tilray sees U.S. legalization of cannabis within 2 years. TLRY. Stay long, you cannabis boys. Stay long. You had a rough year in 2019. 2020 wasn't so bad, though. Wells Fargo's bars advisors from making recs on GameStop and AMC. Oh, yeah, I saw where Charles Schwab, that owns Ameritrade now. Boy, I know there were some stops on GME and AMC today, but come on, guys. You got to let the retail traders trade. Okay? I know you're just trying to protect them, but if they wanted to be protected, they would have a financial advisor. That's what I'm telling you. Again, let's go back to what the Robinhood CEO said, right? It literally trading stocks, holding equities is the new home ownership. Period. Full stop. I fully believe that. Sunworks files $100 million mixed security shelf. Can you say dilution? SUNW. Apple reports Q1 EPS. It did beat consensus. We talked about that at APL. I'm just going to try to hit the big ones. Cantor Fitzgerald starts iPoint at overweight with $22 price target EYPT. Crown Castle came in at it believed it's going to come in at consensus CCI. That's who did the cell tower. Q4 AFFO was $2.33. Consensus was $1.65. They beat it CCI. A lot of good news for them. Congratulations if you're holding CCI. Exact Sciences. I am long EXAS. Initiated with a buy at Truist. Tri-State Capital beat consensus TSC on their EPS. Academy Sports initiated with a buy. Again, another brick and mortar retail. Loop Capital, ASO. Congratulations. If you're short them, look out. You never know when that Wall Street bets is going to turn. And now there's 3.4 million of them. Not 2, not 2.4, 3.4. Levi Strauss Q4 EPS beat consensus LEVI. You want to know about insider trading? 3 days ago, I had it was a hedge. Yes, it was a hedge fund, not an investment firm. Size up on Levi. You know why? Because they probably knew that. Levi was probably trading up to date. In fact, I bet it was. ServiceNow reports Q4 EPS beat consensus NOW. Facebook sees more significant ad targeting headwinds. Not good. FB. You can look at Facebook. There's a lot of information about them. They're authorizing $25 billion in stock buybacks. By the way, FB, jump on. Stock's probably up already. Facebook reports they beat consensus on fourth quarter EPS. Facebook. First Bank Corp Q4 EPS, they beat consensus. FBNC. It's good to see these financials beating consensus. We're seeing a lot of that. Tetra Tech sees EPS beat consensus. TTEK. They're reporting their Q1 EPS 96 cents. The consensus was 81 cents. Is what they're guessing. TTEK. Petrobras call volume was above normal and directionally bullish. It's energy. PBR. Sorry. Baidu authorized by California DMV to test driverless vehicles in Sunnyvale. BIDU. Can we catch up? Elon, come on. We need to catch up there. I think you're 3 years. I think Tesla's 3 years ahead. So Baidu's behind, but I don't like to see it. Chinese-owned company driving on our streets, knowing what the CCP can do. Powell asked about GameStop, says, I don't want to comment. That's Jerome. GME. If you didn't know by now, right? All right. Fed says pace of recovery in economic activity has moderated. means it's kind of slowed down. SPX, SPY. Federal Reserve keeps interest rate benchmark unchanged. SPX, SPY. Trying to get back here. IAG price target raised. This is Europe. ICAGY, but the price target was raised. Merck to build new manufacturing facility for a bladder cancer drug, MRK. I think that they're going to have a good year this year. Nokia, not aware of any developments that would account for trade activity. Nokia was driven up to. In fact, let me give you Nokia costs, and Fossil was also driven up today. I believe I may have mentioned them. I've gone so long. VIR, biotechnology, Verb, biotechnology added to analyst focus to list as a short idea, VIR, at JP Morgan. Man, I can't believe we're talking about shorts today. UBS price target raised at Morgan Stanley. UBS. Let's get out of these European stocks. BMW reports Q4 automotive free cash flow. That's FCF above market expectations. BMWYY. Siemens price target raised by Credit Suisse. SMMNY. Let's talk about Palpatia, Chamath here. Let's just go through it. Boeing still expects positive cash flow in 2022. What 2021, man? Boeing 2021 to continue to be challenging, but sees upward trends in 2021. I don't understand. All right. Taysha Gene Therapies management to meet virtually with William Blair. I think that guy lives across the street from me. TSHA. Boeing 737 MAX cleared for return to service by UK CAA. But they'll be up in the air by next week or next month. Excuse me. Just know what I know. BBBY, which is Bed Bath & Beyond, again one of the other stocks that was being pushed up by the short squeeze. And let me see if get anything on AMC. AMC directionally bullish. We knew that. And that will about do it. ABBV was directionally bullish today as well. 5 analyst upgrades today were DKS, WEN, FREQ, KSS, and NWSA were the top 5 analyst upgrades. The downgrades, these are the downgrades: ACI, UAA, UNFI, SPWR, and they downgraded Bed Bath & Beyond, BBY. Wow. What a day in history. And you know what? I think tomorrow gets even more exciting. You really ought to get on. I'm not saying join, but you really ought to get on the subreddit to know what's going on, because there are some very, very smart retail investors out there. Yeti price target raised to 90 at Jefferies. AMD price target raised to 100 at JP Morgan. WWE price target raised to 65 at MKM. Darling Ingredients price target raised to 69 at JP Morgan. Texas Instrument price target raised to 200 at JP Morgan. DR Horton price target raised to 87 at RBC. That's DHI. BJ's Wholesale signs 3-year exclusive partnership with Commerce Hub. BJ. Blue Hat regains NASDAQ compliance. Plug Power price target raised to 70 at JP Morgan. Microsoft price target raised to 245 at JP Morgan. Quinterix price target raised to 75 at Lyrics. Texas Instrument price target raised at 184 at Truist. Johnson Johnson price target raised to 200 at J&J, at Lyric, J&J. GVO announces key business updates initiatives for 2021. I'm long GVO, GEVO. And that is going to do it. Tough Built reports 2020 Amazon gross sales of approximately 7 million TBLT. I'm long them as well. we found TMLT actually through hedge funds. A lot of these stocks that we find, I mean, what's interesting about, really quick, what's interesting about when you look at the hedge funds and the SEC 13G and 13D filings, as well as the 8Ks, is that literally they know. The hedge funds know, or somebody knows. That hedge fund knows. And you know what? I don't fault them for it. It's their job. Like, their job is to network. Their job is to know the market. Their job is to make the calls to the CEOs. I had a buddy one time, and I really wouldn't call him a buddy. I call him an acquaintance. I saw at a conference, and we had met before, and we've exchanged emails. We've gone back and forth, but we're not buddies. We're acquaintances. He used to work at a hedge fund, and a very large one at that. One of the, I'd say, top 10. You know what he told me? He told me this, Mark. Literally, when I worked there, it was like the big leagues. And by big leagues, I mean within 20 minutes, I could have almost any CEO of any corporation in the world on the phone. That's how big my hedge fund is. That's how much power we had. And we had over 500 traders. And billions, almost hundreds of billions under management. So that is the power they wield. And don't worry about the hundreds of billions under management. Wait till they go to the bank and they can 10x that. And now they got about $1 trillion, right? So when you see the stat, but retail investors account for 36% of all the money that's in the market. And hedge funds are only 3%. Yeah, but the hedge funds, that 3% gets magnified by 10s. And then, no, that's 30% that they're playing with, just almost as much as the retail traders. So remember that. We'll see you guys. Watch your 6. Go hard in the paint. Have a great Wednesday night. Cheers. We'll see you.